Hello, hello, hello. All right. Thank you for joining me today. Just hang around a little bit while we wait to see who joins us. I know I've been a bit lapsed, I'm afraid. Been a bit busy, lots going on. Up and down week, shall we say? But we're here. So I hope you've had a productive time yourself. Let's start. We're going to talk about policing. There's been a lot. We're getting used to it, but about where police have their meals, why they are not in their canteens, and what resources they have to eat in their police station, things like that. But first of all, I just wanted to bring up this photo here of Ella French, who's Chicago police, and she was shot dead over a weekend recently, and absolutely tragic, as you can imagine. Her colleague, was shot and injured. He's in hospital, and I thought this was a very good message, because you've got to think Chicago now. There've been 60 shootings in a weekend. You can understand from the Black Lives Matter campaign and George Floyd and that side of things how policing wasn't flavour of the month, and there was an awful lot of misinformation going around. And everyone was too scared to challenge it. And so the respect of the police went, or wasn't even allowed to be shown by people, because they were fearful of showing their respect for the police. 60 shootings. There were something like, so far this year, I think it was something like 30 police shootings in Chicago, police shootings rather, and 11 police officers hit with bullets. I mean, this is the sort of thing. So when they say, British police are the best police, America have got something to learn by, we've got different problems than them. They have very different problems than us. And I think it's really important to realize that. I was in LA. I went out with Long Beach police, and cops are cops. They're nice people, because you get nice people and they think, I want to join the police. So they join the police. And they don't go through this filter of being horrible, made horrible. Well, you're too nice to join us, so come in and then we'll just change your character so you're a nasty, horrible person. So obviously there's a few, aren't there? There's a few that are going to slip through, and luckily, as been seen in the UK, you'll find that most of the ones, like that police officer, I think was known before he joined a few years prior or whatever, had extreme right tendencies or whatever, then you get found out very quickly. And so why didn't the vetting find out? Well, there's a lot of social media about, and I guess you could put a whole department on someone before you found something. And then there's another argument as well, isn't it? Because is someone's decisions of what they say when they are 19 relevant when they're 36? I think there was things with the Olympics like that, wasn't there? That the person leading the Olympics, running the Olympics, was docked at the last minute because of something he said when he was 19 or something. Well, big discussion, but I think something's going to happen, because otherwise, I mean, luckily my kids aren't really on it. It's that social, they're 22 now. But I think, geez, it's a dangerous place to be, isn't it? Especially if you have an opinion. So, and this sort of said it, and this was the chief of Chicago. And he says, let's understand, when the police are not respected, when the authority of their uniform and badge no longer holds, nobody is safe. That is the critical thing. Nobody is safe. We either stand as a city with the police, even as we support police reforms, or we sink as a city without the police. And that is utterly true, with the hemorrhaging of police officers as they're leaving departments, just the injustices of it all, of just being blamed as these horrible people. And I think the training is a lot better in this country, the initial training. It's a lot easier to keep hold of people, because I think a lot of police forces, their computer systems don't match up with each other, so that you get fired as a police officer. And that was going to be changed, but you get fired as a police officer in one state for really horrible behavior, and then you can go the other side, go into another state, and they won't necessarily know about it and they'll hire you. So that is a massive weakness, which I believe is being, or has been, solved. Bit of a funny one I wanted to bring you here, really, is before we get on to the other stuff, the Moreland newspaper. I'm doing an article for these once a month, actually. So it's about getting national policing, what's relevant to Devon and Cornwall in particular. Moreland News has quite a big audience, because it's basically central Devon. Somebody said I look a jolly green giant. So there I am looking. Honestly, this was they sent it for and look, there it is. Ta-da! Get the book in. Nice pair of cheap flip-flops. And I think that this wasn't my article. This was a thing on my book and what's happening and whatever. That's my gnome impression. Honestly, it was so funny. I was doing it. I was on the beach, and I think photographers said they're going to come up and say, "Who's that important person?" And they're going to be really disappointed when it's somebody neither the photographer knew or anybody in the beach knows. So, that was quite funny. So that was the Moorlander. I want to bring up something that is coming up in the very near future, and that is this. I'm appearing on stage. We're bringing a Frontline Chat, and we're putting it on stage. So some of you might listen to Frontline Chat in Saturdays at 4:00 every Saturday, where I do a podcast with on video live with Dave Wardell, who's from Finn's Law and Britain's Got Talent finalist with the police dog and things. So, Ian Paulson Davies, actor, is going to be hosting it. And biggest of all, this lovely man here, you might recognize him from The Grumpy Old Men, brilliant comedian. So it's a bit of a mixed affair because we interviewed him on Frontline Chat. So that is on Wednesday, the 10th of November, coming up in Chester. So that was that one there. And I think we just need a very quick Arthur. I needed to show this because took Arthur down to Newquay to see my mum and knackered him out a little bit. I think at the end, knackered him out enough just to show keep dog pitch. There you go. There's Arthur. Arthur Dog is #ArthurDog. You'll find all his stuff on Twitter. I tend to put it on there. He's a bit of a diva. He's 11 years old, Border Terrier, Jack Russell Cross. And he's my soulmate. He's absolutely wonderful. Like, it's interesting with dogs, isn't it? People say, "Oh, I hate dogs. Oh, well, no, they're messy. They're germs and all that." I mean, you could give them the ugliest dog in the world and tell them to look after it, force them to look after it for a fortnight, and they'll be in love with it afterwards. However ridiculous, little Yorkshire Terrier, and hate them. But I hate them. But then I guess if I had one, you see its little character in it. They get you, don't they? So that's we had brilliant. I always like to go down to Newquay, see my mum. She's out of hospital recently. She's heart trouble. She's 86, bit of heart trouble, and she injured herself a little bit, but she's back home. Sister's looking after her, so that's nice to see. There's always problems, isn't it? You never get a nice line of just no troubles, no issues, nothing to worry about. And it's important to just think, well, don't look for that time. I always say it's not what happens, it's how you deal with it. Everything that comes into my life, it's not what happens, it's how you deal with it. Are you dealing with it in the most appropriate way? Are you overreacting to it? Are you hurting people? If you are hurt people, how do you reduce that? How do you stop doing that? How do you, the best way forward, that side of things. The Moorlander, part of my thing, they would put this advert in, The Cornish Scoop, which is the book back here, able on Amazon. It is 5-star ratings. So I'm really pleased. First novel, and it's 5-star ratings. If you have read it, if you could put a review on for me, that would be great. If only if it's 5-star though, right? And if you don't like it, then I'm really sorry. Farms and Fatals there is still selling like hotcakes. Right, I think we're going to get on to the real thing. Going to get on to what we were saying about, about eating out. I wanted to show you a photograph of this one here. Let's show you a photograph because this one came up in Plymouth, and this just highlights the whole thing. Let's just look at me, really naughty, yabbering on, missing all the comments here. Because it's on a different thing. It's when you're on your own and you're looking at everything and reading stuff and trying to say something. So I'm only adequate, you see. It's only when things go wrong I say, "Oh, it's bloody production team, bloody rubbish." Sue Wise says, "Hello, thank you, Jojo. Good evening to Sue." Gordon Scott Taylor. Hi, Harry. Hope you're keeping well and enjoying the sun when we have it. The move went and we are now settling in. Scott and Jane, lovely to see. Well done. Excellent, Scott. That's brilliant. So you've moved. I need to catch up with the coffee with you shortly, mate. You're a good man. Okay. John Goodman is here. Hey, buddy, good man. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Bring it to the West Country, please. Are you talking about Sun? Because it's or I tell you what, if you're talking about Frontline Chat, then and you say, can you bring it to the West Country? There we go. There we go. Frontline Chat, Palace Theatre, Paynton, Talking Cops. That is that one. That's me looking like. And basically, it is Frontline Chat. It's with Dave Wardell and it's with Silly Sergeant. Basically, we've written books. There's so much in those books we can talk about and things like that. And people can will accept questions about it. Because he's Silly Son, Isles of Silly, and he had we interviewed him on Frontline Chat, and he had a Facebook following bigger than the White House because of the humour he did with the Isles of Silly. Fantastic the way he put that across. So good for him on that. But so let's go back to this. There we go. That picture there. This was when things started to change a little bit because people were starting to complain, oh, look at the police, look, they should be like catching criminals, rapists and murders. And I used to say to people, well, if you could let me know where they are, that'd be fantastic. I'll be straight off after them. But at the moment there's been a lull. So this I'll tell you now, this would be Plymouth, Charles Cross. And that's the Hoe. Nice place to hang out. Better than central London, I suggest. North London, East London. Well, central London's quite nice, isn't it? And someone took that photo and go, yeah, look at that, and sent it to the paper. And the paper, local Plymouth one, turned it on its head and said, no, this is what we like to see. This is local officers getting together as a section. And rather than being hidden away in the depths of a big grey prison of a police station, they're out in the public. And they had another photograph. Look at all their cars. Look, cars. Why are there so many cars? It's because they are single crewed. They are single crew people. They join up, have a cup of tea, debrief. You have no idea. When I was at Plymouth, I would go to anything from suicides, hangings, violent domestics. I went to a sudden death of a baby. I had to unwrap the baby and look for injuries on it. I had two babies myself at that point. And checked for injuries. I thought I found some sort of bruising. I reported it, found out the mother had postnatal depression. Postmortem up in Bristol, shaking baby syndrome, I think, is where it was basically came down to. It's a big tragic affair, but it's those sort of things happen. I've beaten doors down to go into fires with mental health, people suffering from huge mental health, carrying knives. Don't worry, Plymouth's not all like that. It's a beautiful area on the frontage, especially, and all that. So it's got the same. People are people, and they have there's trouble sort of everywhere, doesn't it? So these officers are going to exactly the same and more, and people still object to that picture. So it's nice that it's changing. I don't know if they had the wine and tapas, but that might have been another argument. You've got to have something to get you through the day, haven't you? So when then a couple of years later, actually, yes, we're going to do we will be doing that. We'll be doing a Frontline Chat this Saturday. It's just about him and me. I've got a couple of guests brewed up, but I'm just getting dates from them because they're busy and stuff like that. So Frontline Chat Saturday on my YouTube channel, or not my YouTube channel, on Frontline Chat. Thank you. Yes, Gordon, Scott, Taylor. Can I say that all police officers need a break because their workload is massive and they are under so much pressure with a few officers on the street? What we used to love is when we used to have, because I'd go to all the fatal road traffic collision things, what we used to really enjoy is when somebody came out with a little tray of tea. Oh my God, little biscuits. You just cannot understand. And some officers are too polite. They feel awkward. They're like, oh no, thank you, not for me. If you offer tea, it's probably best to just come out with a tray of tea with various options. And then they'll probably take it. But they don't want to put people in trouble. They don't want to think. Police officers are so used to rejecting presents and stuff because it's sometimes just more trouble than it's worth. Christmas, someone gave a bottle of wine. I said, no, I really don't want to disrespect you enough. Thank you so much. But it's just more trouble than it's worth. It's to accept that. But then, so a few years later on, somebody emailed with exactly the same thing, and they said, I saw a load of your cars parked outside this Costa. So I'm not going to read it all out, but basically I said it's probably the driver training and doing the TPAC, and this is where they debrief from the vehicles you described. I said, but I would like to advise you on the following, however, as it may help the next time you see this on another occasion with other police vehicles, even response cars. There are no, because we're talking about traffic cars at that point, there are no longer canteens in any stations whatsoever. It's apart from headquarters and where there's training. For the great majority of police stations around the country, headquarters tend to have a lot of civilian support staff. So it makes sense. You know, police stations a lot of the time are empty because people are out and about. And it's the response that suffer because they are out and about and they're coming back and they're doing night shifts when the whole world's closed anyway. But headquarters, there's a lot of support staff. So they tend, it makes sense to have a canteen, and also where there's training facility. And a lot of the time, like in Devon and Cornwall, the two are together. So I don't object at all. And I use the canteen at headquarters and Exeter for that. Everywhere else, pretty much, especially in places like the Met and all that, it's disgusting. They have a vending machine. It's ridiculous. And people then do their own sort of tuck boxes and whatever, you know, whatever they're called. Tuck shops, that's the one. And it's just sweets and it's pop noodle and it's absolute crap. But so anyway, officers have to work through meal breaks, often don't have any break during a 10-hour shift. They're often single crewed and have to attend many serious incidents such as fatal road traffic collisions, cop deaths, violent assaults, suicides, domestics, and much more. Funny enough, that's the same list that I may have gone to down there. You will be aware of most of this, however. It is clear policing is incredibly stressful and welfare is a huge priority now because of this. Often, I will suggest to my officers, especially on a day shift, when things tend to be a little calmer because all the criminals are in bed, quite frankly, they tend to be very lazy criminals, and to meet at a coffee shop, American style, and have a debrief, welfare, or rare get-together to cement the section and basically de-stress and talk issues through in a relaxed atmosphere. This is something the public are mostly fully supportive of now, or are getting familiar with, and I make no apologies for this happening, as I will indeed encourage it, especially as it has the full support of the command team in our force. I hope this explains the matter. So that was Devon and Cornwall Police, fully supported. Deputy Chief Constable was spoken to, and he said, yep. I think at one point he said, if I find them there, I'll buy the round of tea for them. So that is the sort of support you need. It is the support that you need as resources on there, because they immediately think, oh my God, are we in trouble? Because at one point they were saying, we don't want so many cars there because it looks bad. Usually said by some supervisor who hasn't been on the front line doing shifts for a very long time. And he's decreed it upon themselves to say that we don't like that because it doesn't look good. Instead of saying to the public, look, this is why. And that means that when there's a job, there's immediately starburst in order to go to that job. And the same for prisons. The same for nurses. I'm a nurse and we got reported for having our teas, coffees on the nurses' station. I'm sure it's the same with the police. You grab a break when you can. Yeah. And Sue, I wonder if that is specific managers that make that, because I bet some other managers would say, don't be ridiculous, grab it where you can. There's some who are very good at managing people and some who are terrible. And just because somebody says no, if you think it's wrong, I would appeal that, because in a subtle way as possible. And McDonald's Live. Yeah, good on McDonald's. It's a franchise, but the great majority do free coffees. And there was a few selected ones which would do, most of them actually did staff discounts for police officers as well, emergency staff, which was fantastic. And it was nice to go in there and have a little chat. There's usually some kids running around who wanted to go, oh, look, there's a policeman. You'd have to stop him before he grabbed your gun and ran off with it. But it is funny when people just see police officers eating. I mean, just to wind people up, I'd just get an ice cream, and I'd woe betide anyone tell me that I shouldn't be doing that, because I would have politely just said what I've been to, a couple of been to, said, shall I take the ice cream back then, because I've just done this and whatever, and do you think that's probably, a bit too much then? Shall I go back to the police station and eat a little Tupperware? It's ridiculous, isn't it? But I think people they're coming around to it. slowly but surely. And that is it. Right. I think 20 past. That's good. We're getting there. So any questions coming up at the moment on on Frontline Chat? Oh yeah. I've spoken to you about Frontline Chat. There is the Chester one at the Story House. It's part of the Literature Festival. And so that one will be live streamed, and it's like a pay thing. And for me, it'll be a really good experience. There's not a lot of money being made because it's theatre, isn't it? But it's going to be great fun. It's going to be with really good people, and it's going to be interesting. Something different, isn't it? It'd be weird to get out of Devon. Although it's not a bad place to be, and that's what I've always had to remember, is that we are very lucky here, and it's no good saying, well, I'm all right in this COVID thing, because why can't other people be as patient as me? It's because I've got beaches, I've got woods, I've got stuff like that. So it's very, very lucky with that. So here we go. Oh, I did a cadets chat, which was quite good. I do a talk about create lots of pictures, lots of really good pictures, gun pictures, car pictures, but very much telling a story about sort of perseverance, really. I did it to Eton College once, boys' school, the posh one, Windsor, online. They were a good bunch of people, actually. And it's just to show, even though I was just a police officer, actually, I was thinking, a police officer's sergeant rank. I wasn't like the prime minister or anything, but a few prime ministers politicians come from that school. And there you are, influencing sort of 13 to 18-year-olds and giving them the real background to what policing is actually like. It's actually quite useful. And because otherwise you've got that one source of information, haven't you? You've got the media, mainstream media, and you've got social media. Sometimes social media, you just start to think that's what people are thinking. But there's a lot of people who aren't able to offer their support because they just don't want the hassle back. They don't want the hassle from all these idiots. That's the thing. Hey, Nikki, thank you very much indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing those. It's going to be good. It's going to be good with Dave, having Dave down here, and having Colin, and just having a good evening on that one. I like that. You've given me an idea. So here's the sequel. It's the sequel. I designed that cover there, that ice cream. I wanted that ice cream there because I wanted it to pop off a shelf a little bit and say, oh, that's nice, rather than, walking by. Is it double scoop? Brilliant. Cornish scoop, going to have a double scoop on the cover. It's actually a very good idea. I'm going to do it audio on that. Audio is quite involved because it's a lot of time, but then it's the audio software afterwards. You record it, you talk about it, and you can't read anything out. Like when I was reading that passage out before, and you have a few and then a bird goes, and the car goes, and you have to cut all that out. And that takes the time. And that takes the time. And so it's worth it. It's worth it, but it takes a long time. But I found, just for your information, I saw for that one, Farms and Fatals, the audio sells as much as both the paper book and the ebooks together. So, and that's still flying off the shelves. So all available at Amazon, not available elsewhere, I'm afraid, at this moment. Hi. I give up. Perera. Give up. Sorry. You need to put a translation on that one, please. Speaking called Tangye, Tangye. I had to give my surname to someone recently a couple of times. 6 minutes left. And then I'll let you all go. And it's like, I don't know if you've got names like this where it's right. And then, what's your name? It's Harry. Tangye. And again, they start all confident. T-A-N. And G. And you go Y-E. And it's almost like they go, are you sure? Y-E? Are you sure G-Y-E? They honestly, it's hilarious. I've had to do it all my life. Well, it's almost funny now. Whoa, what's this? Hi, man. I'm new to the channel. What in the UK did you work in? I worked in armed response and traffic. We're dual rolled here, because especially in the southwest of the UK, where I am, Devon and Cornwall, we've got more guns per square mile than any other force, bar one. I think it was Some random place that was, but because there's all the farmland and whatever, so people get annoyed, they can get a gun. Got a lot of mental health, unfortunately. And so that side of things. And we've got a big motorway coming down with lots of naughty people in it. So we were kept busy, because the less busy you are, the less resources you have. And so, but we would do, and that's why the book's called Fatals and Firearms, because I was senior investigating officer in fatal road traffic collisions and the armed response side of things. So I would do the farms tactics advice, I'd do the farms VIP protection. I was team leader, operational farms commander, which is like team leader for vehicle interceptions, building entries, open garage search, that sort of thing. So lots of fun, fast cars and guns. Thank you. Welcome, Sergeant Law. Are you from the good old US of A? Oh, did I see it? Oh no, I thought I saw Canada flag there for a minute. It was the YouTube logo. Because it's quite small. You're right, mate. Oh, mate, John, I miss Cornwall. I do love going down there. I'm going down there again. I missed you this time because I was a little bit busy, short with time and stuff. But I usually like to go down to Newquay and then hook up with John, put the world to rights, have a coffee with him. He's a good man. And firearm did I carry? Oh no, it's always a bit embarrassing when talking to Americans about this, because they have big guns with big bullets, and they sort of laugh and say, wow, God, man, that's buckshot. So we did a Glock 17 9mm was the pistol. We would have less lethal stuff. We have tasers and AEP, which is baton guns, and then we get into the G36, Heckler & Koch G36. And then the SIG MCX is the next one, which is just coming in through the system. For the techie stuff, 223 rounds, smaller, faster. It's what we tend to need, because a lot of ours is close quarter stuff. But there we go. Oh, okay. Why did I think you were America? Oh, you did say UK before. I'm from Manchester, Cheshire, well on the border. Okay. I thought you said Chester there. I was going to get a ticket from you, get to see my Chester frontline chat thing. Anyway, Harry, speaking to a serving officer yesterday and cannot believe riot training is a voluntary note. Yeah, exactly. I did a lot of that, a public order unit, and I couldn't do firearms and that in the end. And so went swampy, and it was like the dual carriageway protesters, lots. Do you remember Swampy? I got to say, he paid for my conservatory, because I was 7 days off after night shift, and I worked for all those 7 days on last minute. And there's a bit in the book about that, and it's fantastic. Just convoy of police cars and vans where we went, whilst most of the protesters were in the pub because they just got their gyros then. They dug in underneath, so the roadworks couldn't, earth movers couldn't move in because they'd crush the tunnels and kill people, and that's frowned upon. And so while they're in the pub, because they just got their gyros, it was a very skeleton staff in the actual the sort of format. They sort of built this sort of castle protected area, and they were in the trees and under the tunnels and stuff like that. There was only a few of them then, and we walked. I think it felt like about a mile in the darkness, hand on in front of the other, on the next person's shoulder. The gamekeepers had put temporary bridges over the streams, and we walked in absolute silence. And there was probably about 60 of us officers in silence. You just hear the feet. Got through. Tactical A group were at the front, and you could see the protesters with their torches just scanning the areas. It was like a scene from the World War II movie. And then the ladders from the tag went up, and they went in there and they overcame it, and it was fine. It was done really. It was brilliant, because we all had it was a 3D map from the builders, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to enter from this way. We're going to, come out of our vehicles that way. We're then going to walk through this, and we're like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So yeah. So there we go. It's all in the book, so you don't need to read it now. Any more video on different scenarios coming up? Oh yeah, because I've done on this channel. Any more videos like the previous one you've already done? Okay, well, tell me what you want, what you really, really want, and I can do that for you. Did one on dealing with confrontation, especially for new cops going in. with cameras on them while they're dealing with confrontation, dealing with stress, avoiding PTSD, dealing with death, how you cope with death, how I personally cope with death. I'm not qualified, I'm not a professor. I've just done 30 years dealing with death and confrontation. Confidence is a key thing, but also having a good chat about it. And I think we're going to sum it up very shortly. Jackie, you just managed to get on here now, just as we're going to say goodbye. Thank you. Sorry, Jackie. On these people who carry out, now you don't, you said that word, that's the one swear word, along with the C word being cycles, because I like cycles, I like cyclists, but if you mention it on social media, there's quite a militant bunch who think they are beyond reproach. Anyway, I've just said it. But anyway, don't say the C word. And the other one is auditors. They try to get me on their formats, but it's a bit like saying, hi, we sweep up sand in the Sahara Desert. Come and talk to us and tell us why you don't think it's a good idea. It's a complete waste of time. Let the cops get on with their jobs and do something nice for the community instead of trying to make a name of yourself doing something ridiculous. There we are. Oh, good. I had a lovely message from someone who said they read the book and then now is a special because of what was said in there. So it's nice. I like to keep confident about the police. There's some tricky bits about it. Hi, I followed you from civilian to PC 4 months in and loving it. Brilliant. If anyone's thinking of joining, then I'd say go for it. And that's the key thing, because you just look after your section, be with section, ignore the big, ugly, wide world if they're telling you off and saying you're rubbish and all this sort of thing. It's very difficult if that's where you're on the street and you get these jobs and they just want to wind you up and they say all the things that come across on the news and social media and things. But do that. We've got a flurry of questions here, but do you think the sentences against criminals attacking officers are appropriate? No, I don't. There's a thing on TV recently they were asking about, with prisons worth it? I'm going to do a one on prisons. Does it work? It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to do one on prisons because we all have a theory. I'm going to do that on the next one, I think. Good. Thank you. Right. I thought you said my dad's a German Shepherd. My dad's German Shepherd is sat on my bed right now. His name is Axel and turned 3 yesterday. Bless him. You've got many years of loveliness ahead of you. So thank you very much indeed. And big poo bags. That's why I've got a border terrier. And I think we'll have to leave it there, guys. So you can go about your everyday important stuff like relaxing, hopefully. Thank you so much. It's really appreciated you joining me today. I don't know why you do. I don't think I would. I'd bore myself silly. Anyway, stay safe out there.